Hey guys, I'm Rush Club CEO AJ Richards.
I am Rush Club President Stacey Snyder, and you are listening to
Snatches and Scotch.
All right, welcome back to Snatches and Scotch. I'm your host, Sylvie Bona, with my co-host, Dr. Adam Wade, Johnny 6 blocks behind the camera, and we're at the CrossFuel SweaterX and Rush Club Showcase, and we're here with the Rush Club crew, Stacey and AJ, and we're going to talk about how they're going to bring fitness and competition to a whole nother level, in the sense where people just enjoy the sport. So why don't you guys tell us a little about Rush Club and how it started, and I've seen it yesterday, and it's freaking special.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a real quick backstory because it could go on forever. Some friends of ours have a gym, and one of their coaches started this thing that he was calling
Lab After Dark.
Yeah, Lab After Dark. And I'm like, well, I called him up and I'm like, what's that? And he goes, well, think Fight Club meets CrossFit. That's what he said, And I'm like, okay. And immediately when he said that, I'm thinking like UFC with our sport, that kind of thing. And so I'm like, so tell me what that, a little bit about that. What does that look like? And he said, well, we turn the lights down, we play chill music,
Jazz
and we
music.
lift. Yeah, I'm like, you're lifting to jazz music with the lights off. All right, your clothes are on, right, in this scenario? I mean, I'm down, but I just, was picturing something totally different when you said Fight Club meets, CrossFit. And so when he said that, I'm like, well, I have another idea. Do you mind if I kind of just run with it? And he's like, yeah, I don't care, whatever you want to do. So that's where the seed was planted. And then we went to a local CrossFit gym to put on our first one because my space that I was in was way too small. And so when our very first one actually had 4 men and 4 women, and it was like a bracket elimination. And so if you moved on to the final round, you would actually end up doing 2 Metcons in one night, and then you'd be crowned the winner, right? So that's how it started. And so we roped off this area. We bought 4 construction lamps from Home Depot.
Caution tape.
Roped so it was like this grunge setup, right? We had like over 100 people show up and pay us $5 at the door just to watch this.
Nice.
And we're like, there's something that could happen here. We should look more into this. So we immediately, the next step was create an LLC. And so the name was already developed and the logo was already developed at that point, even before our first show. All that concept was good, but now we really could see that there was something here. If we were going to have 100 people show up and pay us $5 to watch, that wasn't happening anywhere because all that was going on was like your traditional sort of local affiliate competitions.
And,
and nobody pays for those.
Nope.
No.
You know what I mean? And you definitely don't have 8 competitors with 100 spectators. It's way more. The numbers that show up are athletes, and then a quarter of them are spectators.
Yeah.
The majority of the people at a local competition nowadays are the athletes themselves. People are not showing up.
Or
Or their family. Right.
Yeah.
Not just people who want to come and watch. So the idea from the beginning was, how do we make this about entertainment, still have these guys compete in a legitimate competition, but the entire focus is the spectator experience.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the origin.
I like how you started.
Yeah.
And it wasn't perfect and it wasn't great, and you just
No.
started, and I'm assuming it's evolved quite a bit over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went from this idea of having a bunch of different workouts all into a hopper, and then we pulled them out at random, and then you just had to be 3, 2, 1, go. and you had no idea what you were going to do. And then, it turned out that people didn't really want to watch 150 wall balls. That wasn't exciting.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Or or we would have athletes that pulled a workout that they couldn't actually perform the movements to.
Yeah.
And that's not exciting. So the evolution of it went from the first season where we did 7 regular season shows, and then we did a finale special where we brought everybody back in and we did a traditional bracket. So it was 8th and 4th and 2, and then overall a winner. And then AJ said, we've got to move on. We've got to evolve from this. And so he'd been talking about weight classes for a long time and said, weight class is the way to go. Weight class is the way to go. And after that finale show, he's like, we've got to do this. This is the next step. This is the evolution. And so now, weight classes.
Yeah. Going back to the hopper real quick, because that was such a joke for us in the way we were doing it. Like we bought ping pong balls. We had this whiteboard, and we wrote a list of random workouts on this whiteboard, and that was for the audience, here's what could happen. And then we had this
a correlating ping pong ball.
Yeah, and we had this stupid tumbler, and it didn't work very well. And so when we opened it, we're in a live show with a few hundred people there, and we would open it up, ping pong balls start falling all over the floor. And ping pong balls bounce on cement. And so here we are running this thing, and we're chasing freaking ping pong balls, trying to pick them up and put them back in.
That's
and
amazing.
Just matching the workout to the whiteboard. And it's like, is this the one that it was supposed
we're
to
like,
be? And it's like,
well, it's like, what's that movie out where they pick the person that has to go fight for their life? Those kids, right? And they put them in the
the Hunger Games?
The Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games?
So it was like we'd pick
That's
out.
what we were talking about, the Hunger
I don't know.
Games.
Maybe, yeah. So it's early, okay? And I had a 5-hour energy to get going. So things are just roll. I'm seeing colors and shapes.
Okay.
Anyway, you hold up a ping pong ball.
Totally normal.
And you're like.
AJ's got a little bit of ADD. If you
Totally normal. A lot of ADD.
I don't even know. Listen, I don't even know what we're talking about now. Something.
Hunger Games.
Four ADDs.
So we'll
ping
move
pong
on.
balls. We had to evolve from the hopper as well.
Yes.
Is the point.
Yeah. The thing I really like is it's very inspiring that you guys started that way and now you are where you are.
Yeah.
Because same with the podcast, we've had a lot of hiccups and
Yeah.
I just started and we're evolving and growing and getting better and better, but you can't really sweat the small stuff, and
right.
At the end of the day, are people enjoying the competition? Hell yeah. So
yeah. And by the way, it's all small stuff. My motto is the universe doesn't care.
Yeah.
Shit happens, but if you picture yourself on this outside of the world view looking down on our planet, nothing that I'm doing really matters.
Yeah.
I create any meaning of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so if you get it from that perspective, it's okay, I just screwed up, but who gives a shit, because it really doesn't matter. The universe is still turning, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
So move on and keep going. And I saw a comic once in a newspaper where this picture of these two guys digging for diamonds, right?
Yeah.
And this one guy was turned around walking the other way, and there was a foot of dirt left before he hit this diamond, wall of diamonds. And the other caption underneath was a guy who was digging past him, right? And it was that whole idea of you're right there, and people quit right before they know what really could be incredible in their lives, and they just give up. And it could have been right there.
I love that, because that's what Krista told me last night. She goes, the only reason people fail is because they quit too early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. It's absolutely true. I mean, there's been so many times where it's is this worth it? And obviously we've never thought that it wasn't.
Yeah.
But there are those hiccups, and it's just keep. I keep picturing that image, and it's here's what we know: what we're doing, it will work.
Yeah.
And if we don't do it, somebody else will.
Yeah.
And then how shitty am I gonna feel?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's we stop there, and then there goes that diamond miner right underneath of us that goes, and all of a sudden you have Rush Club, which is bigger than the UFC in 5 to 10 years, which is our ultimately that's what we're creating, is
that's your goal.
Something so entertaining that we are comparable with these organizations like the UFC and the WWE. That's our pie in the sky, what we're digging for.
That's awesome. And the funny part is that a lot of people had the same idea you guys had. Mm-hmm. The idea isn't a novel idea. I'm sure people thought this before.
Yeah.
But no one followed through, no one executed, and it's
right.
how you follow through and execute, which is really cool.
Yeah. One of our sponsors, who's been a supporter of us for a long time, and not just as a sponsor, but like a friend, is David Newman from Sweat RX.
From RX Smart Gear.
Oh, damn, yeah.
It's okay. RX Smart Gear.
there's
We
two-
love Sweat RX too. We love Fred.
We're at Sweater Rex.
We
And
are
we're
at
at
Sweat
the
RX.
event, and so it's very ingrained. But
Yeah.
we're
Yes.
talking about RX
RX
Smart Gear.
David Newman from RX Smart Gear. He's been supporting us for a long time. Even before there was
From the
value
get-go.
as
Yeah.
a sponsor, he was still paying for it. Like, he could see our vision.
Wow.
But one of my first conversations with him, when I told him weight classes, he's like, "Look, we had a weight class event here in California, and it was the worst competition we've ever been to, because what it was like the traditional open format team or individuals where you have like huge 15-person heats, but then they were trying to break them all into weight classes as well, and so it just became this huge cluster where they couldn't organize it well enough.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, that makes sense, but that's why we're going head to head.
Yeah.
Like, they're already, MMA events are very well organized because it's two people at a time. That's easy to follow, easy to track, and easy to score.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, trust us, follow us on this one. And fortunately he did, and he's like, yeah, that worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the way it had to be head to head.
And when he saw it for the first time, he brought Elizabeth Akinwale as one of our heavyweight contenders for the women, which was incredible.
Yeah.
And he saw it happen for the first time. And when he was in the audience, felt the electricity of it, and saw how special it is, then he just said, like, you guys have got something. This is incredible. And I don't know if we've really explained exactly what it is. So for all of you listening, Rush Club, exactly the way that I describe it, my elevator speech about it, is we've taken the movements that have been made popular by workouts such as CrossFit, and then the things that have been done over time in the fitness world, and married them with the concept of a UFC fight night with the energy, the environment. The bars are open, the people are right on top of you, crowds are cheering, there's walkout music, there's lights and smoke, the DJ's blasting, and so it's got that electricity that you can't get other places.
So you guys have a liquor license?
Well, the venue that we're at has 3 different bars that are
Oh,
open.
wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
So
you
it's
get
like
to
you're
drink beer
going
and watch exercise
yeah.
racing.
you're going
yeah.
to the fight.
Like Adam says.
You're
Yeah.
absolutely
I love
going
that.
to a fight out, and it's not 12 hours. It's not a traditional competition.
Yeah.
We're done in 2 hours, 2.5, if we have a special event.
Now, for the athletes that end up competing in it, is
Yeah.
you pair them together really quite well from what we saw yesterday.
Yeah.
The athletes, their skill level, their
Yeah.
capacity to do work is very, very similar.
Rep for rep, man. Oh my
Yeah.
God. It was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
far as the selection process or application process, like, I'm an athlete who wants to go do Rush Club head to head. How does that work? Like, for people out there who want to come out and compete, or is it more of a, you guys go out and select people?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my main role as far as the actual production of the show, is to find the athletes and put them together in the right group, in the
Sure.
right pairings, and so I use multiple tools to do that. I'll go on social media when I find an athlete's name. We'll check out like grid athletes, and we do scouting. Check out grid athletes and see how they're doing, and we'll check out the CrossFit Games athletes and see how they're doing. And
There's
then
a lot of referrals.
a lot of
too.
referrals are
A lot
starting
of
to come in now,
recommendations.
and a lot of direct contacts now, especially with the growth that we're having. Is athletes are now reaching out to us, and we'll take their name and go do some research on them, and then I might have two middleweight guys reach out to me, but when I go and actually, and they're both great for the show,
Yeah.
but when I go and actually do the research, they may not be the perfect pairing together.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean they won't meet each other at some point. Like, if we take, athlete A and athlete B, and they don't match up right away, but athlete A goes against, a C athlete, because that's a better match.
Yeah.
And then B go against a D, because that's a better match. Well, if they both win their duels,
They
then
go for the
they're
belt.
going to end up
Yeah,
coming
they'll-
together at some point.
Let's
if they're
talk
that
about
good.
that.
Yeah.
How do athletes? Because you have a championship
Uh-huh.
or a champion for every weight class.
Yes.
Or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and the belt is awesome.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we watched that yesterday, for those of you who weren't here for it. Yeah, how does that work? So how many different weight classes have you got?
Yeah.
Just sort of break it
11?
down.
Well, no. Now with adaptive, there's
13?
13, 14?
14.
14?
Oh wow,
That's
you guys
awesome.
you guys do adaptive athletes as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's big, man. That's
Yeah.
that's coming up really good in the functional fitness world right now.
Well, so
for
here's
sure.
the thing about adaptive. So I was military 10 years, served in Iraq, and I own CrossFit Mesa in Mesa, Arizona, and I have an athlete there who's double amputee.
Wow.
Was blown up in a IED.
Man.
Actually, his buddy was blown up, and on his way running to him to help him, he was blown up.
Wow.
So missing both is like amazing guy.
Incredible guy.
And so being a veteran and being connected with these guys personally, and watching what these veterans and other adaptive athletes as well. It's an open category. You don't have to be a veteran to be there.
Yeah.
But we just have a lot of adaptive veterans in the U.S. right now from the war in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And so it's an open class. So anyway, I started looking at it. I'm like, there's no real place for these guys who are at a high level who I'm missing a leg, but I'm going to snatch over 200 pounds. Are you kidding? Like a squat snatch with missing one leg.
What's the guy's name from Rubicon who does that?
I'm not sure.
You know
It's
what I'm talking
it's a new category for
Yeah.
us. So I'm now getting to learn all of these athletes.
Yeah.
They're high level athletes.
Mhm.
But there's a guy named Derek Carver. He's the team captain in a group called Team Some Assembly Required.
Oh, wow.
It's like the coolest name ever, right?
That's
'Cause
awesome.
they gotta wake up and assemble
That's
themselves,
awesome.
you know.
Yeah.
So they're like super robots. But this guy, he's got like a 400-pound push press and he's missing his left leg.
What?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so that's the point, right? How come we don't know about these guys?
Wow.
It's because right now most of the competitions they participate in, they're like show and tell.
Yeah.
It's like, and look, I'm not going to put anybody down because that's not what anybody's intent is, but it's almost like it's more for the PR and it is support, but I'm telling you as a veteran, these are warriors and they don't need to be coddled and show and tell.
They're badasses.
These guys
Nor
who
do
are,
they want that.
they don't want
Yeah.
that.
You know?
So talking with Derek, he's like, I said, listen, Derek, this is the idea we have. I want to bring you guys on here that are working your ass off and give you a shot at a real competitive title where someday, just like any other athlete, just like Noah Olson, you can be a high-paid, high-level competitive athlete. And he's like, it's about fucking time because they keep showing up. Look, so he competed in a competition where the first place guy got $25,000 in his category. Derek won his adaptive division and didn't even get a swag bag.
Oh my God! And he was the top dick.
Yeah, King Dick, Rooster, right?
King Dick.
King
That's
Cock.
the whole that's
King
the
Cock.
Yes.
rooster.
Yeah,
That's why they have that logo.
I was going to ask about the logo.
yeah.
And there it is.
Well, so hold on, because this
can't
part's really important
Yeah.
for me especially.
For
And this
sure.
is why we're bringing in the category. So there's a lot of organizations in the States that are raising awareness for a 22 veteran a day suicide that's happening in the
Oh my
the
God.
States. And so that's a real number. 22 veterans a day are killing themselves from PTSD and TBI.
Oh my God.
And so the organizations who brought awareness to that have done a really good job. Now we're all aware. And now it's time to fix that. So what I believe is if we can get these guys on our stage who have decided to get off the couch, even though they've had these traumatic experiences and injuries, and push themselves to a higher level, their warrior brothers and sisters are going to see them and say, you know what? I'm not going to sit here anymore, and I'm going to get up and do something. So we want to impact and change that number from 22 and start driving it down. So these guys, their role is two parts: to be the elite athletes they are and be able to shine in that and own those titles, but then also to inspire other people who've had traumatic experiences to get up and move.
Wow, that's powerful. Man.
Serious
awesome.
part over. Now we can talk about the logo.
No, that's amazing. I almost got
Yeah.
emotional. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And there's 3 different classes to adaptive too. So there's an upper adaption, a lower adaption, and then the wheelchair.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's
That's
cool.
fantastic.
And I'm guessing you're the one responsible for all the organization of all these different classes.
Well, the classes is actually all AJ, but then once the classes are established, he says, "Here you go."
Yeah,
And then
I'm
I
like,
go, "Perfect, let's make it work."
I have a really good idea. Here's my ball of shit. Now make it look less shitty.
And now it looks really pretty.
You guys
Now it's
ever
pretty.
hear of Wheelwad?
No.
No.
So a good friend of mine, Chris Stoutenberg,
Uh-huh.
he's an adaptive athlete, and he's a CrossFit coach. Coaches out of his wheelchair. He does like rope climbs and a whole bunch of crazy stuff. He's been training Ogar and the guy in LA working with Fisher. I forget his name.
Don't know that guy.
So anyway,
don't know.
there's 3 guys who are like, and they're badasses, and they started like a wheel watch thing online, and a lot of adaptive athletes.
I have
are-
heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're talking about G. I think G something.
yeah, G, yeah.
Yeah, because he trains out of that's not his name.
NorCal.
NorCal. Yeah. I just remember the
anyway,
G.
those 3 guys, and then Saudi, they partnered up with Carpali as well, and talked about like human movement and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
they're doing a lot of really cool stuff
Yeah.
as well. So they'd be a great source to talk to.
Yeah. And like we said, it's not veteran only. We
Yeah.
definitely don't want people to think that. It's open
Yeah.
for anybody who's going above and beyond and adapting to what
Yeah.
the hand they're dealt and just living through that. There's a guy named Zach Roll who does clapping handstand push-ups while strapped into his wheelchair.
What?
Like he leans forward, lifts his lower body up with his wheelchair attached, and then on his hands will come down, and as he pushes up, claps, comes back down.
I love that. It
Crazy.
just displays how powerful the human spirit is.
Yeah.
Yes.
No matter what your
Yeah.
circumstance
Yes.
is,
Yeah.
mind over matter.
And you may not be an adaptive athlete. You just may be sitting on the couch playing Xbox and eating Doritos. But when you see that, you're going to feel pretty shitty, and you might get your ass off the
Gonna
couch.
get up and move. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Inspired, absolutely.
Yeah, totally inspired.
I want to talk about the logo, but Johnny's giving me the crazy eyes. So we're gonna have take a short break and then come back to it.
Crazy
okay.
eyes.
The
Cool.
crazy
Peace out.
eyes.
And we're back at the at the Crossfield Sweater Rex and Rush Club Showcase with the Rush Club crew. Sorry, I can't talk. We've got the mascot here on stage, Richard, and we're going to talk about the logo and who Richard is.
Yeah.
So why Richard? I mean, that's kind of like a. It sounds like a knight
Adam,
almost,
don't
you
be
know.
a dick.
And there it is. And that's why.
This is Richard. He's a Sagittarius.
Does he like long walks on the beach?
Like
does.
long walks on the beach.
Romantic fires?
Loves romantic fire.
Okay,
A lot of
good.
ladies were petting Richard yesterday. It was a little
Lots of people
weird.
seem
So-
to like the
so real quick,
the Richard.
Yeah.
The Richard.
A real quick
The
story
Richard.
about Richard. So I had Richard sitting on my table on the desk this morning or yesterday in the hotel room.
Yeah.
And the guy came in from guest services and brought in the breakfast, right? And super awesome guy came in this morning to bring in breakfast.
Yeah.
And he goes, "I was thinking about your rooster all day yesterday."
Where are you
And,
now?
and he goes, so he's from.
I was thinking about your
No, it gets better.
Not the
It gets
first
better.
time, right?
Oh,
It gets
God.
better. He says, I was thinking about it because when I was a boy in my home country from Bangladesh, my dad had a rooster
Yeah.
in our village who it wasn't a local rooster. He got it somehow from another country.
Yeah.
And the local women would hide their hens under their like shawls and then come over and throw their hens in front of his rooster so that he would, they were pimping out
Inseminate?
their hens. They were.
Yes. Very technical term.
Yeah.
He's a doctor.
Oh my God.
So
nothing.
That's
on that.
awesome.
anyway,
I don't even
yeah,
know what to say anymore.
No.
it was awesome.
Can't beat that.
That's amazing.
So yeah, this is
That's the
Richard
logo.
Where did the idea
Uh,
come from, though? Like, where did it stem from day one?
Oh my gosh.
right here. I said,
I need to go find a
Brains
rooster.
of AJ Richards.
yeah. That's how my brain works. I'm like, we should do look, if you win head to head, you're like the king dick. You're the king cock. And I'm like, king cock.
And that
We
was
should do
it.
a rooster. Let's put a
King
crown
cock.
on it.
Yeah.
A rooster with a crown. And it just
Perfect.
evolved. And we almost went with
No.
no. We almost went with a cat with a
No.
crown. But that was a little on the nose, so we just stuck with a rooster. We had
my
two.
God.
We had
One for
a
one.
male category and a female category. I was just trying to make it equal, but
Yeah.
you know,
We prefer the rooster anyway.
if you want to be a professional organization someday, you have to
The rooster
have
plays.
a level of modesty.
The
so
rooster plays, right?
Yeah, the rooster's
it's
good.
and it's an
And it's a
iconic
golden
logo
rooster.
for sure.
yeah, golden rooster. I mean, look, you're the king of the roost. That's there's so many ways
so
you can
many
play off.
puns.
The foul puns
It's
are
amazing.
incredible.
I can
my
tell
God.
my grandma what this is and not get her mad at me because
Oh,
you're
if I
king of the
started a
roost.
company and I did that, and my parents knew what it meant, I get in so much trouble.
Right.
And I'm
so
30,
so
like,
grandma only knows that it's king of the roost,
perfect.
and that's
Which makes
okay.
sense.
And you're fine.
But then look, now we're now we can appeal across large groups of people, and
open up
they
your
can
branding.
create their own. Yeah, the branding. Now they can create their own meaning for it.
Yeah, it took me like 5 seconds. I was like, why the hell do they have a rooster with a crown on it?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
shit.
So
that's what that is.
in the beginning,
Peacock.
in the beginning, in the beginning, a lot of people were calling us like the Fight Club meets competitive fitness, right?
Yeah.
And in Fight Club, they have Project Mayhem,
Yeah.
where they just go out and cause mayhem.
Yeah.
So our January show is really cool because in January, we had the local news come out, and on their green screen, they had a giant rooster when they were talking about our show, and I'm like, mission accomplished. Project Mayhem, a little subtle, like the news anchor on the 5 o'clock news has no idea that he's got a giant cock behind him.
Yeah.
And, you know, because they were
That's amazing.
looking at it from an innocent standpoint, which is
Sure.
cool, totally fine. Little subtle Project Mayhem going on with that. So
We've also toyed with the idea of doing random throwdowns and calling them cockfights.
Yeah.
Oh,
That'd be
that's
awesome.
good.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I like that.
So just before we wrap it up,
Yeah.
really quickly, where do you guys see yourself going from now? Like, what's the next step? I know we've talked about this, and AG's great at looking at ideas, trying them out, fail, hit, miss, moving on. And not what your vision is, because we know what your vision is. They're going to be the next UFC,
Yeah.
bigger than UFC.
Yeah.
But what's coming up? Like, what's within the next year? What can we expect from you guys?
Gonna be signing athletes.
Hey,
the
do you guys
very-
you know how Rush Club has like charters?
thing.
say that again.
You know how Rush Club has charters causing mayhem all over the world.
Yeah.
What is that in the plans? Like, what's coming up?
Well, the very, very next thing is just 3 weeks now, or 2 weeks and 6 days away, is Rush Club 004. And that's going to be available online too. So you'll be able to stream it through our partnership with Flow Elite.
Nice.
So whoever's listening, whoever wants to watch it and see what it is we're talking about, and the rooster and everything, because the,
The
rooster's
rooster will be
important. You jump online and watch it. Rush Club 004. We've got 4 titles, including the introduction to that adaptive weight class.
Nice.
So that's going to be
Sweet.
absolutely phenomenal. And so go to rushclubnation.com. Like us on Instagram, Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Periscope, and you'll be able to see a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff as well as the evolution continues with
That's
the
fun.
meetings that we have and then the nonsense that ensues. But that's how to be involved immediately. And then as far as evolving our sport, I think AJ probably has a better grasp on that.
Yeah, the goal is to, like I said, that we've got a built-in audience that's massive.
Yeah.
That people love the sport that we're already in. And so we want to be the most entertaining place to go for people who love doing what we're doing. And just based off that metric alone, we'll be international.
Awesome.
Yeah.
As long as we keep the audience engaged, pair the athletes correctly, and evolve ourselves to meet the requests of our audience. Like our ears are open.
Yeah.
And actually the evolution of Rush Club to this point has a lot of influence from our fans. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like, we know what we're doing, shut up. It's
That's the
that's
best
a
way
great
to do it.
idea. We're going to,
Yeah.
let's test it. And
Nice.
we do that. So the evolution is that in 5 to 10 years, we'll be compared to the UFC. And I know that's a bold statement, but why do what we're doing unless we're
your
willing to
fans
make
are already
those?
saying, "Hey, let's get some rounds in there."
Yeah.
And you're already open
Yeah.
to that. So I love how you guys do business. I love how you guys are listening to your audience.
Yep.
I think it's going to be huge.
Well, and
Yeah.
what we
Because of
do
that.
is for our audience. We treat
Yeah.
our athletes almost better than any other competition I've heard of. We fly them out, we put them up, we treat them like the stars and celebrities that we want our athletes to be. But on top of that, it's a spectator experience. Like, you
Yeah.
feel something when you're there.
Yeah.
And that it matters to us. It matters to us what our fans, we call them the Rush Club Nation. It matters to us what they think.
Nice.
Yes, for sure. So we're going to wrap this up because we got to go MC and start the competition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. If you guys haven't checked out Rush Club before, make sure you go to Flow Elite and you watch the next coming up event in 2 weeks, 6 days.
Yeah, June 27th.
June 27th.
RushClubNation.com.
Yep. And stay smooth. Peace out.
Cheers.
Good stuff.